Oh, hello again. I didn't see you there. Well, today I would like to talk about a very important issue plaguing our society, abortion. Let's jump right into it. What is abortion? Abortion is the ending of a human life in the womb. Now, I'm going to try not to make any assumptions here and take this very slowly, so hopefully anyone can understand. How do we know it's a human life? Well, because it comes from human parents. When a man and a woman do the reproductive act, it results in another human life with unique genetic code from the moment of conception. A fetus in the womb is a growing and developing human being, and its heartbeat is detectable as early as 5.5 to 6 weeks. That's well within the first trimester. By the second trimester, the baby is too large to be pulled out using suction. So the baby has to be ripped apart piece by piece, limb from limb. The brain has to be crushed, and the skull's crushed, and the brains are sucked out through a tube. By the third trimester, we have detected elevated heart rates in babies, and we've seen them moving away from the abortion instruments. So we detect and recognize that third trimester babies do experience pain and fear. So the goal of this video is to get people to think about abortion and think about the morality of it. A lot of people don't really think very deeply about the 900,000 babies that we kill through abortion every year. They don't have a voice for themselves. They're the most vulnerable and oppressed communities in our society. So I would like to see more people stand up in defense of the voiceless and the helpless and the innocent. I'm going to very quickly run through a couple common pro-abortion arguments. This shouldn't take very long because most of them don't make any sense. The one you hear most often is my body, my choice. And for that one, I'm going to pull up a graph here. Enough said. Another one I've been hearing a lot lately is, well, what about the children once they're born? You don't do any charity work. Pro-life people don't really care about life after birth. And those are concerns. Of course, we want children to have loving and happy families. But this is a logical fallacy here. This is changing the topic and it's attacking the person, saying you are not doing enough charity work. You're not doing enough community service. So it's really deflecting from the issue of abortion and attacking the person themselves. Now, regardless, pro-life people are much more charitable with their time and resources. But that aside, it's irrelevant. It's a distraction. It's not addressing the morality of abortion itself. And if you understand abortion and you've learned about abortion, you know that it's the killing of a person. So that should kind of be a big priority. That's a little more important than education. Not killing people is a good starting place. Another one we hear a lot is you're a man, you've never been pregnant, you don't have any say in this debate. How do you know I'm a man? Uh, on a serious note, I am a man, but everyone has a unique perspective to bring to the table, and no one should be dismissed for their immutable characteristics such as race or gender. Um, that's another ad hominem attack. It's saying there's something wrong with you that makes you unqualified to discuss this. Well, how about instead of attacking the person using a logical fallacy, ad hominem attack, how about you address the actual issue, which is very hard for pro-abortionists to do because there's no there's no justification for killing an innocent, helpless baby. The next one is it's a parasite, it's not viable outside the womb, and I guess if you just have to think about it for a couple of minutes, and it really does. None of these really make sense when you think about them for 30 seconds or more. Little babies rely on their parents. In fact, all of us rely on each other in our society. Most of us could not survive by ourselves. So relying on other people is not what gives your life dignity or value. There are a lot of special needs people around the world, a lot of children who are helpless on their own. Does this mean we should just kill them? Of course not. All of these people have intrinsic value. Even if they're seemingly useless to you, that doesn't mean they're not a valuable person. Human life has an intrinsic value, and you don't have to be religious to recognize that there's something very special about life, especially human life, and that it should be protected and preserved, even when you don't see a direct benefit to yourself, even if they might rely on their mother. And additionally, we are born into communities and societies. We all have a duty and an obligation to those around us. So you don't just get to say, well, I did the reproductive act, now I'm just going to slaughter my child. No, you have repercussions from what you've done. You have to take responsibility for your actions. If an animal or a child or another person is relying on you for survival, you have a duty to help them flourish. Another argument we hear a lot is, well, it's going to happen anyways. We might as well make it safe. Two things on this. First, when you kill a person, that's not safe. A successful abortion has a 100% fatality rate. That is not safe for the baby. So let's try to get outside of ourselves. Let's try not to be selfish. Let's have soft hearts, and let's think about these babies. Think about their lives and their rights. And then the other thing is, just because something will happen doesn't mean you don't ban it, doesn't mean you don't try to discourage people from doing it. That is as dumb as saying, well, murders happen anyways, so there's no point in making murder illegal. Or theft is going to happen anyways, so there's really no point in making it illegal. Well, duh. Of course it's going to happen. But the idea is that when you punish them for doing it, there's a much lower chance that people will want to do that. They are discouraged from doing that by laws and society. So that would be a good thing when we discourage people from doing evil things, such as killing other people. The other one we hear a lot about is, what about rape or incest? What about these crazy scenarios that almost never happen or almost never the reason for abortions? The question you should ask someone who spouts this kind of nonsense is, would you be for banning abortion except for in cases of rape and incest? Besides those cases, do you agree that it's wrong to kill these children? And of course, they're always going to say, well, no, I think a woman should always make her choice, and so that's why it's really just silly that they even bring it up to begin with. But beyond that, the pro-life position is very simple. It is never okay to kill an innocent human being, an innocent baby. That is never okay. Doesn't matter what the parents did. Doesn't matter if they're going to be poor. It doesn't matter if they're going to have special needs. It's never okay to kill a innocent person. That is not something that our society should allow and certainly not encourage as we're seeing it now. And the last one is really not even an argument, just another attack. Keep your religion out of my uterus, or you people are just so religious that we have religious freedom here. We don't have to believe that these are humans. And it's really just so silly because almost every abortion argument that I've seen from the pro-life side has been scientific and logical and moral. The abortion side of the debate doesn't have any ammunition. They have nothing to use. So they have to devolve into these attacks of, oh, you're just trying to oppress me by pushing your religious views on me. Well, hold on. You brought religion into the debate. You don't need to bring religion into the debate. Now, there is uh, religious grounds. There's a religious concern that God doesn't like it when we kill innocent little children. That is true. However, we can see through science that these are little children. We can see that they're growing and developing. We can recognize that they are a life. We can detect their heartbeats. There's nothing religious about that. That's just factual. It's just science and logic. And on top of that, it's moral. So let's do the right thing, folks. The abortion debate essentially comes down to what we prioritize. Do we prioritize unrestricted, promiscuous sexual pleasure? Or do we prioritize protecting and preserving innocent human life? Do we choose selfishness or selflessness? And I know so many people, their own lives are wrapped up in this debate because it morally implicates them in a bad way. So that's why people get so heated about this debate. But it really just comes down to whether we as a society are going to do the right thing or not. The abortion debate really reminds me of my video I put out last week about what sin does to you. It blinds the understanding. It's so difficult for people to think clearly and deeply and seriously about these issues. And that's because they're so wrapped up in their sinful lives. It hardens the heart. It's impossible for so many people to think of anyone but themselves. It's almost impossible for them to think of the little children that have value and are being killed. And thirdly, it diminishes our strength. Uh, we hear people say, "Oh, it's impossible not to go out and have sex. That's way too hard. Nobody could ever do that." Well, it is actually possible to do that. It's possible to have discipline. It's possible to care about other people in your day-to-day life. And that's what I am urging all of you to do. Lastly, I'd like to close out by saying I hear a lot of people, I talk about this with people in my life, and a lot of them don't like abortion. They say, well, yeah, abortion, that's kind of messed up. I don't support that. I would never do that. But, and if you have to put a but when you're talking about killing children, you're in the wrong. But, they say, I think a woman should be able to make her own choices. You think a woman should be able to kill her child? When, this is really the question that you need to answer if you want to think about this at any level of depth. When does that human life begin? When is it not okay for a mother to kill her child? Because just because it came out of the womb doesn't make it a living being. We know that it's living in the womb. The location doesn't give a human life value. And that's why the most consistent position and the most sensible position is that life begins at conception and that abortion is always wrong, and additionally that it should not be legal. It should not be legal for a mother to kill her child at any stage of pregnancy. You should not be okay with that happening. We should all want to defend the lives of these hundreds of thousands, almost a million babies a year that are being brutally slaughtered. So I hope that this can educate some people, and you don't have to take my word for this stuff. Please go out and research and learn about it. I would love to see more people getting involved in this movement because it is the most important political issue in our society, and I believe generations in the future will look back with horror and disgust at the atrocities that we're committing towards our own flesh and blood. May God have mercy on us, our nation, and the souls in most need of his mercy. God bless.